Commissioner Adams,
Present.
Commissioner Clark Griffin,
Present.
Commissioner Edwards,
Present.
Commissioner Henderson,
Present.
Commissioner Henry,
Present.
Commissioner Isom,
Present.
Commissioner Singleton,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Present.
Mayor Mohammed. We have a quorum.
Approval for the regular minutes for October 17th,
Motion to
2022.
approve.
Report. Call the roll, please, sir.
Oh, sorry. Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Griffin,
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson,
Repeat the motion, I'm sorry.
Approval of minutes from October
yes.
17th, 2022.
Mayor Mohammed.
Next, we have approval of accounts payable listing. Is there a motion to approve?
Right on that
There's been motion by Commissioner Adams as a support. Support by Commissioner Edwards. Is there any discussion? Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Chair. I did get a chance to send in, some questions I had on the AP list, and, unfortunately, it was kind of late in the day. So I wanted to see if we have any answers to any questions that I have.
Yes, I do have answers to those questions. It did indeed come in late, and if I were to send it to you, you probably wouldn't have gotten it at this late in the day. So I made sure I printed a copy of it, so I can read off each question if you would like.
Please, sir.
Okay, the Arnett Auto, there's tires, those are tires for Public Works, truck 153. And then we have payables account 279777 -279787 M&W Tires. It's for public safety vehicles. Then we have account 7880 DNS. It's for truck repairs. And then Clean Earth Environment is for the sewer lift stations, cleaning and removal of blockage from the sewer main. And then we have up here on this next agenda here is for Brian. How you pronounce the last name? I'm sorry, Kazmarek. It's reimbursements for academy class refreshments, and it's paid for by donations.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I missed it.
Yes, it's reimbursements for the academy class, and those are strictly paid for by donations.
Did they get paid by donation?
He got the coaching.
Point of order, please.
Yeah, so,
I know he don't know what's going on.
Clark,
Point of order.
would you like to address that?
All of the fire academy stuff, that is, everything we either get on that is stuff that's paid for by the agencies that are sending their students, or we also have local business donations. One of the weekends, we had a all-day class on Saturday, and I don't remember which business it was, but there was a local business that donated lunch, so that way the guys could just stay at the class all day, because they were learning vehicle extrication. The donations were there. We don't run anything out on donations unless we have it in need.
Okay, and the next item is from KSS, that's General Maintenance Supplies for City Hall, Water Plant, and for Public Safety. Again,
Public
there's,
safety?
yes, Public Safety.
Thank you.
Then the next item on the list is Michigan Gas Utilities. It is a claim for damaged gas lines from demolished homes. Next is the Southwest Community Action Agency, return of unused funds for utility bills for billing for assistance for the CDBG project, which is grant funded. Next item is item 502-75557 is the rear company, and that's for trash can parts, wheels, axles, and lids. And last on the list is the Jack Campbell, and that is the cemetery mowing, trash, and leaf removal mowing of the city-owned property.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you, Mayor Ron. I won't get too in detail because the gentle lady of the, third ward had already, asked and you answered, some of those questions, but I would like to say that there are quite a few pilots on here, and I won't go through all of them, but I think that it's very interesting, some that I've never known that we had. I was so used to dealing with just homes, the housing, developments. If in fact we are privy to that information, if we could get copies of all of the pilots that belong to the city of Benton Harbor,
Absolutely.
really like to look those over. And lastly, while we have the residents' attention, I would like to request that our finance chairman would at least put on his agenda, followed by a resolution to finally get a matrix put on the city's website so the taxpayers can see their dollars and where they're going, coming in and going out. Thank you.
Duly noted, Mr. Chair. Chairman recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, and we do appreciate you. The analytics, computer assistants that we're paying for, I've always suggested, with a good intro to that, I've already suggested that we do something concerning our, because we're paying them for one thing, and we're paying Ring Central. Then we got another couple software companies that we're paying, that I think we need to get a hold of this. I don't know whose committee we can take it through, but there's a lot of money going out for stuff that kind of need to get a hold of. Maybe we need to just go ahead and get some department for that. Website maintenance, you got another fee for net designs. You got, Ring Central is knocking us over the head pretty good. I thought we weren't gonna pay that much phone service. It looked like we're paying on $5,000 every month. So you have probably about an $8,000 bill for telecommunications, whichever way you do it. Yet we were saving money by getting them. My last bit, and this is to the chair, to our finance manager, line item, where'd it go? I think it's on page number 1. And I'm asking a question because we had paid 10/31/2022. We paid almost $30,000 for field work inspections. And I want to know, was that something that, did we bring that to committee? Because being that we only have a contractor or something that's that much money for field work inspection, I think it should be bid it out to see if anybody else will be. If we don't have an employee in that department, we only have contractors. If we're gonna pay contractors $30,000 to go out and do something like that, that means from here, it needs to be bidded out. And hopefully we'll follow the charter on that. But I do want to know, has that been bidded out? Was that work, $30,000 worth of work? Do we have any bids that we put out for that work for the field inspections for 2022 on that for $30,000? And I would like to get that information, hopefully in writing.
Sure.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
Call for the question.
Okay.
there was one that, I was hoping that we were gonna get an answer on, and that was that, 14 some odd thousand for the cemetery mowing. And another one that, our code enforcement officer stated last month, that the grass cutting had come to a halt.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor and Commissioner, the grass cutting has not come to a halt. Grass and the leaves has grass, leaves, and trees. Cemetery still has to have work done. We will stop it as soon as those things come to a halt.
We do still have Veterans Day coming.
Veterans Day is coming up this Friday.
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Steve.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. There was a grant, that I did not get clarification on. Why did we return that money? Why was it not used? Could not we find something to, use that for the said purpose of the grant? There was I think it was $6,000 or something like that. $6,000 grant from, I think it's in Battle Creek or someone, if anybody else. And it was said it was returned, it was in the red. I wanna know when did we get the grant and why was the grant utilized, what the said purpose was? If not, cause now we go back to them and ask them to, let us use the grant money for the said purpose. But there was $6,000, I think it was, through the chair. We can, oh, right there, Battle Creek Community Foundation return for unused grant funds. The vendor was Battle Creek Community Foundation. And if we could speak to that unused money. Thank you, Honorable Mayor.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I'm sorry, I lost train of thought there. Thank you, I lost my train of thought.
Chair recognizes Second Ward Commissioner Edwards.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just in reference to Ring Central, I've been getting people tell me they're trying to get in touch with me. And just today, I got a message from somebody and it started off by saying Maryland. And this goes to Ring Central. First, I thought it was my voicemail. So when I set up my voicemail, for some reason or another, they call the city number, it goes to Maryland, whoever Maryland is. So, I mean, we're gonna keep paying Ring Central. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Call for the question.
Okay. Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yeah.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Griffin,
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards,
Yes,
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
No.
Mayor Mohammed.
Yes. Thank you. We have a presentation on the Water Systems Alternative Analysis Summary.
Right here?
Yeah.
You wanna-
I can just stand. Or am I in the way? Sorry.
Previously to this presentation, I requested that the city manager would have some type of technology hooked up for the residents to view, to get a clearer and better understanding. I also asked on the call if that wasn't possible, if someone could have one with them to present and show the community.
So unfortunately, at this time, Commissioner, we do not have technological capacity to do that. And then we'll have subsequent meetings to provide information to the residents. This is just a introduction. Thank you. But your request is, thank you.
Okay, so I'm here
Just
tonight to
introduce
provide
yourself.
a
Pardon me,
update.
sir, if
Oh.
you can just introduce
Oh.
who you are, what company you represent,
Okay.
and then proceed with the presentation.
My name is John Young. I'm an engineer. I work for myself. I've been in the water business for 45 years. I spent 33 years working for the largest water utility in North America, which is called American Water. And I retired there as president and chief operating officer. And I've spent the last 12 years going around the country helping what we call challenged or troubled water systems. And I've actually spent the last 5 years leading the recovery efforts in Flint. And I came over here about 3 months ago to help out here. So what I'm here tonight to do is kind of give you an update on where we are with respect to compliance with the federal and state orders. And the big part of that is this alternative analysis that's on the agenda. We have two orders we need to comply with. One's dealing with the feds and EPA, and one's dealing with the state. The one on the federal side, a couple things in that order I'm sure you're all familiar with. It's the lead remediation and the public education and some of the water quality issues we had coming out of the treatment plant, and then having to invest some money in the treatment plant to make it better. But one of the components of the EPA order was this alternatives analysis, where we basically have to take a look at what is our water system going to look like in the short term and in the long term. They made us, in the order itself, they made us take a look at issues like how we're going to staff things. What's the future of the water plant? Do we abandon it or do we invest money in it? Regional issues like do we consolidate with other neighboring systems? Do we sell the system? And or do we develop a new source of supply? Do we go put groundwater instead of Lake Michigan? We were required under the order to look at all of that. The report, and I'll tell you right up front, the alternatives analysis report does not make a recommendation. The decision on what your water system look like in the future is your decision. It's not a recommendation of this report. So what I'm going to do tonight is go through the 7 alternatives that were presented, as so you can get as many facts and ask as many questions as you would like, get smart on it. Right now, the report, it was finished up late last month. It's been now posted for the public to review in many, many, many places. We're going to get comments back through early December and questions. We're going to respond to all of those questions. EPA never approves them. If they have problems with it, they'll tell us. And once that process is done, then we'll be back to you all to say, okay, what direction you want to go. Okay. But let me just spend a couple minutes going over the 7 alternatives that were looked at. So the first alternative that was looked at was that the city retains ownership of their water system, and we invest money into the water plant and keep it, and we enhance the staffing a little bit. There's some staffing issues there, but it's pretty much what we're doing right now with a little bit more staffing. The second alternative was to buy water from St. Joe. They have enough capacity right now to provide the city's needs in the short term. In the long term, they're going to have to expand their treatment plant, but that was an alternative that was looked at. The third alternative was to buy water from Benton Charter Township. They don't have enough capacity to serve the city, so they'd have to spend a good bit of money to expand their plant. The fourth alternative that was looked at was called regionalization. And what that means is you would retain ownership of your water system, but there'd be cooperative agreements with St. Joe or Benton Charter or whatever for emergency response or maintenance or procurements and things such as that. The fifth alternative is what they call consolidation. Under that scenario, you would not retain ownership. In other words, there'd be a kind of a regional water system that would be put together with basically all the neighboring communities. The sixth alternative is to just flat out sell the system to an investor-owned utility who then would come in and invest their own capital to improve the system. but obviously the rate implications and things like that. And the seventh alternative was to go and drill wells, walk away from the Lake Michigan supply and put groundwater and develop a groundwater supply. Advantages of that is the quality of the water coming out of the ground would be a little bit easier to treat than Lake Michigan, although frankly, Lake Michigan's not terribly difficult supply to treat. But we'd have to build a new treatment plant that's specific for treating the groundwater supply. So we have 7 alternatives here. The report just dismisses 3 without even doing any more analysis. It's very clear when we went out and talked to the neighboring communities and talked to the city that there was no appetite for what we call regionalization, consolidation, and privatization. And that was not only you guys, but everybody in the area. So there was no reason to go any further on any of those 3. Okay, so that really left 4 alternatives remaining. The 2 purchased water alternatives from St. Joe and Benton and Charter, and keeping the surface water treatment plant, treating Lake Michigan water, and developing a groundwater treatment plant. Under all 4 of those scenarios, you retain ownership of your system. So that's an important fact. Now, when we actually took a look at the economics, the fact that Benton Charter had to expand their treatment plant to have enough water to provide you, and the fact we'd have to put multiple interconnections between the cities for redundancy, it was very, very expensive. The economics didn't work. On the St. Joe side, they did have enough water to provide you in the short term. But if you take a look at what their wholesale water rates are and the piping changes we'd have to make, that wasn't economically feasible either. Okay, so we're down to 2 alternatives. One is kind of what I'll call the status quo alternative, where you're probably going to have to do a little bit more on your staffing. We're going to do short-term and long-term improvements at the surface water treatment plant, and you move forward. The other one is drill some wells and build a groundwater treatment plant. It's a little speculative. We don't know exactly what the yield and the quality of the groundwater would be, but that's certainly an alternative moving forward. And like I said earlier, the report makes no recommendations, but I'm just kind of giving you the high level of facts. What's going to happen is, like I said, once we go through this process of public comments, respond to the public, and EPA gives it its unofficial blessing, then we'll be back to you to say, what do you want us to do? Now, I'm probably know what you're all thinking, what you want to do, but it's important to understand what the next step in the process is, and that's why Elaine's here from F&B. Next part is to choose an alternative you want to move forward with, and then we're required under the state order to do a technical management and financial capacity study in order to take that one alternative and analyze it. The tough decision you're going to have is whatever alternative you pick. We have a situation right now where the revenues coming in from the system are not anywhere close to what it costs to run the system. So how do we get those closer? Obviously there's a collection challenge, which obviously the better you can do on collections, the lower any rate increases would have to be. There's a labor issue, not only the number of people we have, but can we go and hire the right people? Can we train them? Can we retain them? And then the fourth big issue is we have a lot of grant money we're spending right now to fix up the treatment plant and fix up the pipes and all of that. But at some point that's going to run out. And where's the money going to come for the future long-term infrastructure improvements? So at this point, I'm just going to turn it to Elaine, and she's going to talk about, once you guys make the decision, we're going to move forward with what we call a TMF report, technical management financial capacity, and what she's going to be doing.
Sure. So I'm Elaine Venema. I'm an engineer with Fleece & Van den Brink. I've met most of you before. We were here about, when was that? 9 months ago, last February, I think, to present the draft technical, managerial, and financial capacity study. And the draft was submitted to Eagle, and they provided comments. We've addressed those comments in a revised draft that hasn't yet been submitted to the state because they wanted the alternatives analysis to get completed as part of the EPA order, and they would like the city to decide on the direction to go to kind of finish up that technical, managerial, and financial study. So after the public comment period ends and we receive all the public comments and address those with the alternatives analysis, and the city chooses a alternative they want to pursue, we will work on finalizing that TMF study. If, for instance, the city chooses to continue treating Lake Michigan water at the surface water treatment plant, we'll have a staffing plan in there to, bring up enough staffing, because I know it's been an issue at the treatment plant. And the big part of it will be the financial gap closure plan, and we will work with the city's financial director and probably a municipal financial advisor, maybe Plant Moran, who worked on the draft with us, to come up with options to close that gap. They could be a number of different items, but hopefully we'll be able to find some additional funding out there to help with some of that, either grants or other items from the state. So that's kind of the next step, is we'll do that, and that final technical, managerial, and financial, or TMF capacity study, is due to the state of Michigan in March, early March. So that's where we're at.
Commissioners, I just wanted to make sure that you had a good understanding of the information that's in the alternative analysis. I want you to understand where we are, where we're going. And that will be given, updates will be given as we get there. As they said, we got 30, well, we don't have 30 days now, but the 30 days will be up December 1st. December 1st. December 1st. And then we'll be submitting to EPA. So any questions?
Chair recognizes Commissioner Evans.
Yes, kind of before we're looking at the end goal. So we do the ground well. What happens to our old plant?
The treatment process on the groundwater supply is totally different than how you treat Lake Michigan. So that would just be abandoned, and we would build a new plant addressing the groundwater. If you take a look at the economics, the two are about equal with respect to overall impact on rates. It's just that the groundwater supply, it's a lot of work to get there. You have to put the holes in the ground, you got to pump it out, you got to figure out what the water quality is, and maybe or maybe not, it'll work out.
John.
Yeah.
I appreciate the expertise. I understand you was just in Jackson, Mississippi.
I was just meeting with the mayor and the governor down there in Jackson, yeah.
So I know that your work is pristine.
Thanks.
And that Benton Harbor is getting exceptional, professional advice, if that's the right word, or information.
Thank you.
There is a grid in the analysis, I don't have it in front of me, where I believe to keep our water system and maintain the majority of our staffing. I believe the increase was like $7.
Mm-hmm.
And then to keep it and contract apart and maintain some staff, I think it was $12.
Right.
Could you speak to that grid, please?
Yeah. So on the alternative one that I spoke about, where you actually invest money in your treatment plant, improve it, and then you appropriately and properly staff the water system, there are really three alternatives of how you might staff the water system. One is to hire everybody on as a Benton Harbor employee, and you bring them on, train them yourself. The second alternative would be to use a contract operator, which you are using for some positions right now. they already have the expertise. You bring them in, you pay them under contract. The third alternative is what I'll call a hybrid, where you have qualified, good employees right now, but you have some holes in your system. And so you would basically keep the employees that you had. If you could hire some more and properly train them, great, but fill the holes with contract operators.
Could you reference the rates that's in the reporting?
So those numbers in the report are, because staffing has to increase above what you have it right there, that would be the incremental monthly cost to a residential person to get staffing where it needs to be. So in other words, to get the staffing would need to be under one of those alternatives is $7 a month, okay? Now that's just to implement this alternative. You have a current gap, huge gap between revenue and cost. That's a whole other significant rate increase above that. But the numbers in that grid are just simply to get the staffing right. That's what it would cost per customer per month to get there.
So I just want to put this in perspective for residents, staff, and those who are here. City of Benton Harbor, prior to 2010, was pumping up to 5 million gallons of water per day. And this is when we had Benton Township, St. Joseph Township. We had all of the commercial properties in the township as well as residential. And after 2014, the city of Benton Harbor lost all of Benton Township, St. Joe Township, all the residential customers, which leaves the city of Benton Harbor and the residents of Benton Harbor, the business community of Benton Harbor, now responsible for the maintenance, the improvements, the upkeep of the water system. So this is where the analysis and all of this is being presented today. And we're at the position to where we have to, working with the state, working with the federal government, show how can we maintain, improve, and keep our water system as it is. So it can't be done with grants, which we have about 26 million left to improve and do certain things that must be done. But after that, what does it look like? So that's the question that we have to put before residents, need your input, because it's about, will the city of Benton Harbor maintain and keep our water system for us and by us? That's the question in front of us. And it's going to cost money to do it. Just like maintaining your home, just like maintaining your car, is going to cost. And we're being transparent to bring it in front of you, so you know exactly what's happening and going on with your water plant. Because the residents own the water filtration plant. You do. So this is a meeting where the owners of the plant is being presented information on how we continue to maintain. Chair recognizes Commissioner Singleton.
Honorable Mayor, those other alternatives, is there a cost figure to that too? Looking at that, I think you had 3 alternatives.
Well, like I said, three of the alternatives we didn't even put costs on.
Right, but
The regionalization, the consolidation, and selling your system, privatizing it. We just said, nobody's interested in that. We're not even going to put costs on.
I'm not interested in that, but keep it out.
Right.
But I thought I seen in there, when looking at the report, that to buy water from St. Joe was going to cost us $77
Yeah,
a month.
it's much higher.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think St. Joe, Benton Township was.
That's even higher. That's correct. They were not what we would call economically feasible. When you look at all the alternatives, at the end of the day, if you're looking at costs, the two that are competitive with one another are keeping your surface water treatment plant and improving that. And potentially, if you can find groundwater, drill wells and build a new treatment plant, both of which the system would be owned and operated by the city. And they were the two most cost-effective alternatives.
To me, I mean, I'd rather pay the $70 and keep our own and hopefully get some more customers. And
Well,
so that you can, now that you own it, you can hopefully get the price back down, but you give it away. Don't tell them what the rate's gonna be. It's buy from somebody else. Don't tell them what the rate's gonna be. But, I know some more analysis that has to be done. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you, Mayor Muhammad.
This has just been exhausting, especially to hear the mayor go back in history. But one thing for sure, if we don't remember where we come from, it will repeat itself. And I know we're talking about Benton Harbor, but what a lot of ears don't know is that this is not just happening in Benton Harbor. There are some other predominantly Black communities whose water filtration plants are in dire straits of the same thing. There's some people watching though. There's some people watching and paying attention, some very large people. And it won't happen. But we will keep it and we will get our people trained for better jobs. And I'm hoping that the ears of our master plan designer save some property somewhere, because at some point, thinking outside the box and long term, there's going to have to be a groundwater filtration plant. And here's why, and it's going to have to be hooked up to solar and wind, because we have to stop being reliant upon a lot of the things that we have been. And we have to think long term about everything that we're doing in our decision making. But it's going to cost. Everything pretty much comes with a cost. But I just find it awful strange that the conversations that I've been engaged in over the last 6 years, that other communities of color are enduring the same thing. Now, we went through this with emergency management. I know I can't say I don't know what it looks like. It always looks like dollars. It always looks like it has a dollar sign attached to it. But I guess my question is, with Michigan being the world's largest freshwater source, would you, being in the field that you're in for the last 40, 45 years of expertise, professionalism in your field, would you say that groundwater system should start somewhere in the near future?
Not necessarily. I mean, you're blessed here with some of the best surface water, anywhere. It's very plentiful and it's relatively easy to treat. Groundwater is not. It can go down. I mean, there are places where they've overdrafted the groundwater. So you got to look at it on almost a case by case basis. And my gut is, given the plentiful and good quality supply you have here, I would start there.
Okay, so now my last question is, well, actually statement, because it's been every bit of 14, 15, probably the last 20 years, that we could have almost gotten ahead of this thing, even though the infrastructure of Benton Harbor, America, is over 100 years old and needed to be replaced, lead lines and all, is something that would help us to be more sustainable and to be able to afford a system that lets out 12 million gallons a day, is to bottle it up and sell it. Because we go to the store and buy it all the time.
Is that a question whether is that a business you ought to get
It's just a
into?
statement for real, because it should have been done, and now that we've cleaned up the lead line, we'd be well on our way.
Thank you, Commissioner Adams. Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats and then Commissioner Anderson.
Our award center, Mr. Chaos, there's opportunity. And you are part of the plan. It's been going on for quite a while here. It's been that the mayor brought forth the history. And we've known for years the water plant was not something that they wanted. It's one of our last pieces of things that we own. It behooves us, because I said it a year and a half ago when we told the city residents not to pay water bills and not collect on the issue, that we should give the citizens residents more than just $300 a piece in order to make them whole and tell them not to drink the water. That's the only way you can pay yourself, is utilize resources to pay down water bill and pay down debt, which will pay for water treatment, water repairs, water, everything that's due if we pay ourselves with money that we got from the government due to this emergency or whatever, so have you. Does that make sense to you? Through the chair.
I mean, if what you're asking is this, well, let me actually answer the question this way. What was going to be produced in this next report is going to address what it takes to make the system sustainable in the long term. We can do a lot in the next year, 2 years, 3 years with grant money, and we can use it for capital projects, and we can use it to cover operating costs and all of that. The problem is in 2 or 3 years, that's all going to be gone. And so you have to have revenue levels that are coming in from the city themselves to support the system.
Thank you. Honorable Mayor, to the chair. Right now, you have a situation where people are not paying water bills because they were told the water was unsafe to drink.
Right.
And how do you charge people for water that's I'm surprised the state would even have you sitting there asking the residents to pay for water that they deem would be unsafe to drink. But yet they're saying that they don't want us to even have a water plant that's producing the water for the human being's right to drink water. You have a humanistic right to have water. I mean, that's one of the rights of a human being, that you will give them some form of nourishment, which is water. But to take that away and then now say, because back Al Pashoka did put this on there, that they were doing a pilot program in another area, and if it did work, which was Flint, they were doing that pilot program when they were pumping out of the river. And if it worked there, they were gonna have us start pumping out the river, because that was 10 years ago. He said we could not afford to have our water plant. What we do need to let our residents know is that if you don't know what a water plant is, go take a look out there at Jane Clark Park, and you'll see this marvelous building that's sitting out there on beach lakefront property that you cannot afford, so they say, but they're not making it affordable. Now you have Benton Township who can afford their water. You have St. Joe who can afford their water, but you have the highest taxed city, one of the highest taxed in the state, one of the highest unemployed cities in the state, which is happening in Mississippi, is happening in all where these towns are Black or African American cities. And then they send people in to tell you how bad it is, instead of sending people in and say, we have resources from these people that are voting for you tomorrow to help remedy the situation. But the doom and gloom, again, I want to say this, in the midst of chaos, there is opportunity. We need to look for opportunity to save our water plant. And as this board of commissioners, I think one of them starts with us rectifying the situation of us putting on the tax bill, and now the county's adding fees to that water bill, which you might not never be able to pay it with the fees that are coming out of it. And we need to remedy the residents, we need to remedy the commercial people by making them whole and not forcing them to pay for water that they could not use. Thank you, Uncle Mayor.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you. I just have a question about the trainings and the certifications, because now we're paying some of the contracted people really large wages for some of the certifications that some of our employees don't have. So you spoke briefly to us getting some of our employees that same training, which we could actually pay, probably could reduce some of our costs to get some of our own employees paid or paid decent wages to actually fill some of those things. So in that next report that's coming out, is that information in that particular report? And are any of our current employees aware of some of the certifications that they could take advantage of? Are there any incentives happening for them to actually take advantage of some of the trainings that could, give them a higher certification and more pay?
I mean, you want to take it or I can take that?
Well, you can speak first and then I
Okay.
can.
So,
chime in.
I mean, this is a universal problem across the whole United States. First of all, the answer is yes. I mean, the operators are certified by the state. And you can take it, your people can take a training course and sit down and take the test and get the certification they need. I don't know whether you support them in paying for the training or what, but you need to take a look at that. I mean, one of the big problems we had in Flint is, frankly, we had to get the pay bands up to a proper level to attract the type of people we needed who could then sit down and take the test and ultimately pass the test. So it's very much of an HR issue. How do you attract the talent? And then the biggest challenge is, once they get the license, how do you keep them working for Benton Harbor and not moving over to one of the richer communities where they can make more money? Because they're your competition. I hate to say that, but it's true competition, city to city. And those who pay the best, the cream goes to the top.
So with those certifications, do you have like a list? Because there might be people who are unaware that these certifications are available for them to even take advantage of.
Yeah, we can get that to you.
The class work, the class list, and all those kinds of things that, there are people who can pass the test, given an opportunity to do so. So I don't think that, that's been said, but I think there are people who are capable of doing that, is being incentivized the right way.
So there is based on the size of the community and the complexity of the treatment plan and the size of the distribution system and all that, there's different levels of certification that you need. And that's all managed by Eagle. And you can go on their website and it'll outline exactly what certification you need for a certain type of plant, a certain size of system and whatever, and what tests you need to take to get that certification.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Clark Griffin.
I don't have a question. I just want to make a comment as to what Commissioner C said about getting the residents discount on the water. Commissioner Henry and I myself, Ivy Sackett, we've been putting out emails about doing that using opera funds. Nobody has not responded. So if we're gonna get it done, then we need colleagues to respond. So that's all I want to say.
Chair recognizes Personnel Finance Chairman, Commissioner Ison.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just want to know, what is the gap between collections and revenue? This is a big gap. Is collections coming in, is not coming in to sustain the water plant? It's a big gap.
Well, your current gap you have between the cost to run the system and the revenue you're currently bringing in, the revenue you bring is about half of what you need. It's a huge gap,
So
huge.
Every month is getting.
Absolutely. And it's driven by water. There's 4 ways to get revenue in a water system. You get more customers, you increase your rates, you increase your collections, the bills, people paying their bills, or you find some grant money. And they're the 4 buckets, and there's no other way to bring money in. Simple as that.
So I want to speak to, I spoke with Governor Whitmer. And this is outside of the analysis, but since this is coming up, about water credits, where water credits were given to residents of Flint, where the Republican legislator at that time voted to allocate $40 million from Lansing to cover not the total bill, but 60% of the water bill in Flint. 40% the residents had to pay for, which was which was sewer, and other parts of the bill, but the other 60%, the state credited. Well, when I asked Governor Whitmer, could that happen for Benton Harbor? And she basically said to me that there's no political will from the Republican legislative side to allocate money for Benton Harbor for water credits. So what they did do, which they did not do in Flint, they provided free bottled water to drink, brush teeth, cook with. So they said that they've sent over 1.6 million bottles of water. So as opposed to giving the water credit, they gave free water in the form of filtered water, purified water to the residents, and the water that's used to wash clothes and that's not drinking, the residents will be responsible. But she told me straight up, there's no political will from the legislator in Lansing to give the residents of Benton Harbor water credits. So they gave 45 million for other things. And that's just how the government side of what we're talking about is, that's how it's working. And that's the facts, which is what we need to know. Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I was thinking about what Commissioner Henderson made a statement about, because on the calls that we have weekly, there has been an outcry, even in the updates that we get, that they're looking for training, people to train for jobs. And it's no secret that it's going to have to start with job training for a person to gain a job, to get at home, to pay taxes, to pay into the city income tax. That's generating cash. But if we're staying stagnated and not getting our people properly trained and being able to somewhere along life's way to give them a raise for their hard work and effort, I mean, this is how you generate money though. And I can't believe that, and I'm gonna say it, because for the past 15 years, it should be happening now. Somebody to come in here and put whatever services that are here available and get our people on the right path. Experts with a known proven fact of a model that works for poor and impoverished communities. And I'm gonna say it because it happens to be Manchester Bidwell Arts and Training Technology Center. That even goes outside of the realm of those type of things. Offer classes, put classes and trainings together that colleges and universities do not offer, to meet people where they are. But for some reason, here we are, nearly 20 years later, still waiting. A lot of money coming down the pipeline for education, though. But while we wait, we're losing our water plant because we can't afford to keep it. But during those calls, I asked a lot of questions. And the main one was, okay, so we're already in debt. We're already in debt for millions that we've incurred for the water plant. Can we refinance those? No, those can't be refinanced. Okay, so new monies though can be refinanced. But with the economy the way it is right now and interest rates are up so high, why would we be doing that? So if you're saying that we have a little time with what little money we have left, we can get creative and do some things to try to generate some money to get our people trained.
Commissioner Adams.
And just take it from there, because it all boils down to money.
So I do agree with that. And with that being said, thank you for your report tonight. It's been very helpful. Yes, ma'am.
I was just can I just respond?
Please.
So the TMF report that we'll be finalizing before March, we do have some outlines, some thoughts about doing like an apprenticeship program, because there are some monies through the state to set that up to get some training going. So those types of creative solutions
Yeah.
can be incorporated.
Thank you.
So we do hope to be back before Christmas for you guys to tell us which direction you want to go.
Thank you.
Okay?
But wait a minute, not before Christmas?
So we do.
We got 30 days for the residents to give
Right,
their
but-
input?
Yeah, but Christmas is in December.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So-
I thought it was the
But-
end of the
but-
month.
To your point though, Commissioner Allen, we do not have a,
I know.
but we
Yeah.
do have to move
Yes,
effectively,
Yeah.
efficiently, but I'll just say this. There's a way out
of course,
and there's a way into a new reality,
yes.
but it's going to take us working together and unifying and finding a way of how we can resolve this issue and sustain, maintain, and improve our water system. But we have to do it together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This brings us to the citizens' comments, public participation. There is a 3-minute the city finance director is wearing 2 hats tonight, so he will call those who have registered.
Jamie Davis.
Could you? Thank you.
Good evening to everyone in the audience and to the commissioners, the mayor, city manager. Okay. As far as water goes, everybody's body in here is 90% water. That should be your number one priority, period. And the water that you're giving doesn't have the pH balance for us to be drinking. All you got to do is go to Apple Valley, get you one of the little litmus tests, and you dip it in there in the water, and they show you the pH balance. For our bodies to be beneficial or get the benefits from the water we drink, the water needs to be at least 7.5. That water y'all giving, that governor is giving so nicely, is about 4.5. So in other words, it's detrimental. Anybody here want to do the research, just do it. It's detrimental to drink. Anybody with sicknesses, it's making them worse. Nobody talking about that. Y'all should know that. Y'all in charge of the city. Or are you in charge? Don't look like. Now let me say this. As far as the situation with the renaming the street for the sister that passed. It happened May 3rd, I believe I heard when I was here, 2021. It's been about a year and a half. And y'all sitting up there like zombies with no answers. So again, who really run the city? Can't be y'all. It is ridiculous. It is sad. It's pitiful. It's pathetic. And it makes you look like you're incompetent. And every last one of you need to resign and run up out the city. because you look terrible. But to the people that pay your bills, them pale faces, and that's what I said, because that's what it is. Let me say again, them Europeans that really pay y'all bills behind closed doors, them the ones y'all really looking for. Yeah, whatever. Please handle this situation for the sister. At least she can get a street named after her. Should be way more than that. And it should have been done a long time ago. Act like you care about the people you look like, instead of the people that run your life.
Is it DeAndrea Grant?
Yep, that's it. Good evening, everyone. Sunday, October 23rd, around 7 p.m., a vehicle on my property was towed by Officer Levi Keister. Upon speaking with Officer Keister, he stated that the vehicle was tagged on Friday at 4:45 as an abandoned vehicle and was going to be towed in 48 hours. He also stated that he knocked on my door to try to provide notice. This was a false statement for him because I have a surveillance system, and he never knocked on my door to provide notice. I also observed this officer take several other vehicles in the area. The following Monday, my husband had to pay $430 to get the vehicle back. In addition to the standard towing fees, there was an additional $75 charge for towing without a key, as well as a $125 charge because the vehicle was picked up on Sunday. The first email I sent in regards to this issue was sent the evening of October 24th. I received responses back from Mrs. Clark Griffin as well as Officer McGinnis. My husband also had a phone conversation with Officer Clark. Officer McGinnis, in his response, cited City Ordinance Section 2.56, which prohibits junk vehicles on private property, as well as the City Ordinance Section 41-121, which defines abandoned vehicles. There is no detailed description for an abandoned vehicle in this ordinance. It simply states that if a vehicle that has remained on public or private property for a period of time so that it appears to the police agency to be abandoned, the police agency shall do the following, and then it lists the procedures of having it towed. However, on my police report, the city ordinance was not listed. State ordinance 257.252A was listed. The ordinance only has one provision for abandoned vehicles on private property, which advises a vehicle that has remained on private property without the consent of the owner can be considered abandoned. Everyone that I've spoken with about this issue stated that the law does not specify business or regular hours. We were advised that if we had called the number on the sticker for an extension, it could have been granted. However, we also found out that the number on the sticker went to an official who does not work on the weekends. My question is, what reasonable expectation was there for me to comply with the violation, as well as I'm requesting a full reimbursement for the expense paid for my vehicle, as well as an amendment to the city ordinance when dealing with private properties. I feel like if I had been given proper notice, a conversation could have fixed this. And now me and my husband is out of $430.
It was more than that, actually.
Okay, more than that. But it could have been resolved with just a conversation. That's it.
Erlene Patterson? Erlene Patterson? Okay.
I'm here about my sewage backed up. I called them Saturday, and ain't nobody been out to it. The same thing happened to me about a year and a half ago. I had to go to the hotel and stay 2 weeks for to get my house back in order. And they had to go all around the bottom of it to clean it up and everything, cut all the way around it. And so the city denied me. They said that I didn't nobody call but me. I don't have anything to do with other people calling. But I know they didn't do me right. And my sewer is backing up in here now, and I called them Saturday. And then nobody been around there yet. And it was clear water, now it's sewer backing up in my house.
Ma'am, what is your address, if I can ask?
670 Madison,
670
Madison, M8
Madison.
Madison.
And what number did you call?
I called about 9:30. I called at 9:35.
What number?
Oh, 911. See, I called at Sarah's, and then I talked to somebody named I can't think his name now. But anyway, he said he was gonna call the supervisor. And then I called 911 back again. And she said, this is an emergency call. This is emergency call. And I got to hang up. And I said, well, this is emergency. And she hung up.
Yeah.
So, we do have our public works here tonight and our city manager. I don't want to resolve it or discuss it publicly in this setting. However, Mr. Manager, we will have somebody at our home win tomorrow.
Well, sewer backing
Tonight?
up. Sewer backing up in it now.
It's Wakanda.
It's Wakanda.
All they go to Wakanda.
No, but see, that's what I think they're doing. They're going to Wakanda. But see, 4 or 5 years ago, before that man retired, before somebody retired down here that was working sewer, see, he would go right there on Madison and Madison and Wine. And I can sit right in my living room and see them out there working. You see. But they going to Wakanda instead of coming to Madison.
Okay, so we'll have somebody to resolve it
Okay.
ASAP.
Well, I sure appreciate it.
And I'm sorry that you had to come down.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we have Ira Ward.
How y'all doing? I was here last meeting. I left y'all my number for, like she just said, the sewer. I left it. I just haven't heard from anybody. I'm lost too much in my basement because of the sewer keeps backing up. I'm not going to just sit back and just let this go. I've tried to reach out to everybody. I left you my number. I left the gentleman to my left my number, and no one has never called me. So, which I didn't expect to get a call anyway. So right now I'm at the spot to where whatever I have to do to get some attention to the problem that's going on, then that's what I'm gonna do. Because right now I still haven't heard from you or him, and I left him the number, and no one's called to try to rectify the situation. Now, like I said before, with nobody up there want a bunch of feces in their basement where you got to throw everything away. It's not fair to us, the citizens of Ben Harbor. This is a recurring thing. It's not fair to us.
What's your address, Mr.
She left this a week ago. Still ain't got it.
Mr. Ward?
1198 Jennings.
1198 Jennings. You got it.
Marvin Haywood.
We know common sense don't cost a quarter. And we know that. I was here when that man complained. This is the same thing we've been going through for years. Miss Ethel, we thank you for even answering emails, because you about the only one that answered. That man come down here complaining about sewer in his house. Took his number, like he said, ain't nobody called. This lady over here, same situation. And this has been going on. This ain't just happened. You understand what I'm saying? Because we full well know you're not running the city, but you want to sit here, you want to act like everything is all right. I said, I thank you because you're the only one that's been answering And that's just the first time everybody got the emails answered. A lot of people been calling me. The only person answering emails is Ms. Griffin. They've been doing this for years. They said they was gonna get back with this man. And he said ain't nobody called him back. This been going on for years. And so what I'm saying is this: we have to deal with reality, truth, facts, and reality. The truth is we can bring you situations. You will sit here and look like, okay, we're gonna handle it. In the long run, you don't do nothing. You understand what I'm saying? You want to procrastinate in 2017. We brought the water issue to you. In 2017, I got the letter that the lawyer sent you. And I got the letter, and I'm going to produce the letter. He said in May, Mr. Mayor, you should bring this before the commission. And this was about the water issue. This was in 2017. He said, I don't think you should handle this on your own. Now, with this letter, this was the lawyer sent it because he wanted to relieve himself, letting you know, look, you better let them know what's going on. Ain't nobody knew what was going on. This was in 2017. I got this letter from the lawyer. Anybody can FOIA this letter. You understand me? So when you sit here and want to put out the illusion of inclusion that you helping the city, that's not right. You talk about transparency. We've been asking y'all about this water plant for years. For years. You understand me? And ain't nobody said nothing. And y'all want to make the people believe that it's getting done. Albert Marks come up in here talking about it's going to take $300 million in 20 years to fix the lead lines. But they come in and it take 18 months. But they was lying. The same people that y'all giving $30 million to Albert Marks. You understand me? What's going on with the water plant? We've been asking y'all the same question for years about this water plant. And if you sit here and tell me that I'm lying, everybody in here lying. Because you know it's the truth. Facts. And I don't deal with number facts. I'm not going to come down here if I don't know what's really going on. You understand? Because it ain't about me. It's about the people. Y'all say that y'all care about the people. Y'all sit here and lie. And boy, look at here. It's bad. It's bad. And that's being reality. And so when you talk about who is running the city, who is really running the city, you understand? We got Southwest Michigan Planning Commission that they created a master plan that want to get rid of school and everything going on. You understand me? You come here, you say you were going to come. I knew you wasn't. When you told me you wanted Clanton Moran to stay on, I knew then that you didn't know what was going on. Them the same individuals. If you get their record, they've been ripping the city off for years. Ripping the city off for years. And it's real, man. And y'all need to do something about it. And everybody talking about we're going to get back with you. How they getting back with you? That man ain't got back with you. He came down here. Y'all need to stop this nonsense. You understand? It's facts.
Thank you.
Y'all need to stop it.
Ashley Hines.
Ain't even got back with her. About the 30,000. He said he didn't want to see the paperwork no more with the lying ass.
All right. Well, I hate to change the subject, but I'm not here to talk about water.
I got you switching.
All right. So I'm here to follow up about what I spoke about maybe a little over a month ago. Lady T, well, the community knows her as Lady T, but Miss Lita Flemings, who is a property owner for a commercial building in the Empire Corridor, right on Empire and Broadway. The city had filed criminal charges against her for blighted property. And since that meeting, I was hoping that we will have some resolution so that we can not only see the charges drop for that, but also be able to work towards how we bring that commercial district back together. And so the last time I spoke, there was this overwhelming amount of support from the commission about seeing that commercial district come back to life and being able to, bring life back into that community. As you know, strong commercial districts are the heartbeat of any community. And there isn't a lot of currently zoned commercial properties, commercial districts within the city limits of Ben Harbor. And so the city manager said that he would have someone look into it. And, we were told that we just want compliance. As it was written on the ticket, the only means of compliance that she was given was demolition. And so we were hoping to get some type of resolution of, things that could be fixed in order to bring this building back to life and take it off the list of properties that were going to be condemned and then demo. And so imagine my surprise when we found out that AEP had been approaching these property owners because they were given permission by the city that a lot of the commissioners said to me that they didn't know about, to advance a project that was going to require the demolition of all three of those properties anyway, right? And so it's like, I don't understand how no one could even know about this. And particularly, how can you decide to demo these properties as part of this project to redo the power lines when there's a city-owned vacant lot right across the street where this project could have run through? So you make the decision to disenfranchise three property owners
in this, and in turn disenfranchise the community. So it's like, again, like, who is making these decisions? And so, you know, I think that this begs a conversation with AEP. I was told from the AEP rep that part of their process now is to get these property owners to comply, to agree to demolition. But if they don't, they're going to file eminent domain over these properties anyway. And so this is a problem. And I think that, you know, the way things are running, we're constantly hearing about these procedural errors when it comes to like how codes are enforced, how they are written, and people are waking up. And I think that, you know, it is comfortable now when it's not an election year for people, but people are waking up, and we're going to do our best to educate people. And I would like to, as an organization, be able to work with you all, but that comes with accountability, and we're going to be holding you guys to that, and it will, you know, act out during election time. So that's all I have to say. Please look into it. Thank you.
Miguel Clark. Miguel Clark.
He had to go to work.
Took so long. Mr. Shaquille Turner.
Good evening, commissioners. Notice I didn't call you by no name today. Over in 3rd Ward today, this morning, McGinnis had a conversation on Facebook Live. Illegal dumping. No dumping means no dumping, right? For all the residents. If you dump, according to the city charter, you can be fined and incarcerated per city charter. Okay? Okay? Y'all got that, right? However, at 11:21 p.m., a.m., coming out of the 2nd Ward and 3rd Ward, guess what Mr. Turner found? Some public works trucks under the direction of City Manager Alice Mitchell. They have to be dumping somewhere. I'm not going to name the location.
Why not?
I'm not going to name the location because of so go down there and set it on fire. Our department is understaffed. So I'm not going to say where it was dumped at. Code enforcement was informed. One to my right, to the left, beside the incompetent lawyer, was not informed. Y'all have pictures. You cannot dump in the city limits. No dumping means no dumping. You understand that? I have zero tolerance for dumping. Every week, my paycheck comes back to the city here. I pay taxes. I'm going to demand what I put my money to. You may not like me, but you will respect me. From the right to the left. I will give my respect one way or another. And you can look cross-eyed, you want to look at me cross-eyed, but I will challenge you in courtroom. Trust and believe me, I'm ready. So, like I said, again, no dumping means no dumping. I have zero tolerance. If I got a ride at 2 a.m, I will catch you and I will haul you to a motel room across that bridge. And you will be booked in Barron County Jail. You will be booked. Zero tolerance means zero tolerance. Dump if you want to dump again in the city. I promise you.
Emma Kennard.
Yes. They have been dumping for years. Marvin and I got pictures from way back in the same area that he's talking about. The city is really in a spot. Talking about our water, they're going to get back with me and haven't got back with me yet. All those years that I brought 2 bottles of water and had a question. All they had to do was take it and have it tested, have it documented that it was tested, and let me know what was going on. We could have saved a whole lot of the things that we're going through now because they could have got on it without making the commission look incompetent, which is a whole lot of that coming along. Here's this little Tamika Joy. Tamika, is that her name? Anyway, Shamika lost her life. Couldn't get no water out of the I mean, this is the city of Benton Harbor. We have the opportunity is to work and take care of our own. We used to have the excuse that because of racism, when we in the areas, we didn't get it. Now we have the opportunity to do right towards one another and will not do what's right. They look for any kind of money under the table, little money, buy a new pair of shoes or something and look cute in. This is not taking care of your people. And you will really feel the effects of it if you run for office again. Because the people are really watching. Here it is. We haven't gotten any report about the water plant, which was in non-compliance. And they haven't came back to us about what it is. And I've asked over and often enough is to have gotten some answers about have they cleaned up the violations there at the water plant. It was supposed to have been updated by Amamart, and you all knew it. And we still making payments to the bank. And I asked for what did we owe now to the bank still on what they supposed to have updated the water plant for. So they act as if they don't even know what I'm talking about. Now I know it was updated. Don't you all know it? It was updated by Amamart, but I guess that's something should be talked about. But I'm going to say it because I'm a resident. And we need to have some answers about how much have we paid? How much do we owe as a balance? Because that's where some of this money is going. Making payments on something that we have problems about now. Is the water plant up to par? Is it up to where it's supposed to be? So we are really off. And little Miss Jordan need to be rectified. You all need to do the right thing about her because for one thing, you didn't keep up those water issues that make the people safe. Thank you.
Eleanor Gavin?
You didn't see my name on that picture? Well, it's on there. You gotta go, you go, but my name is on that paper at the bottom of the right hand side.
I don't want to cross Mr. Duncan.
That's it. I got it.
Does he need to go?
You go ahead.
Okay. Good evening. I had a couple different things. One, first and foremost, I want to say again that I support Shamika Jordan's family. I believe it's the least that this body could do is to go ahead and name that street off of her. I don't think there's any legal ramifications or anything like that. It's something that could have been done a long time ago.
Right.
And I'm hoping that there is a way that the family will get an opportunity to speak, be respected, and the other things in that resolution. Don't implement the things in the resolution without giving her family the credit for asking for those things, asking for the fire safety courses, asking for all of those things that were in the resolution, asking for the day. I do understand breaking it up into one thing at a time and starting with the street. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's great. But then respect the other things that are in the resolution that was requested by the family. It's good for the community, and it is a great way to honor her. So to honor her in that way. The other thing is the water situation. We have talked about it for quite a while. I noticed that some folks came up here and talked about another plan to raise, water rates again on residents who are already paying for unsafe water. There should be an ordinance against that. That should be illegal to charge anybody for unsafe water. If I had a restaurant and I was charging people for unsafe water, you want to lock me up, but then we're your customers and you're doing that to us. A commissioner needs to put it on the floor. I think it's great that you say and you're talking about it, but you have the power to write a resolution, put it on the floor, call for a vote. Regardless of what the governor says or not, this body can speak as a unit and say, hey, we're speaking on behalf of our residents. We need more money to take care of these bills. Governor Whitmer, who it's an election season, y'all could have asked her for that. She would have done it. She would have had to do it.
The rest of them would have had to do it. So it's about you all speaking up for us, right? It's the power of your voices. Put a resolution on the floor and say that's what you stand for. And then the money is ours. The state money is our money as well. It's just saying that on behalf of Benton Harbor, you're staking claim to the money that we and our ancestors have already put into it. And so for everybody who wants these water bill credits to be zeroed out, there is a petition. Go to fixthatbill.org. Sign the petition and tell everybody else to sign it. We already have 100 signatures. Let's get those numbers up. We have to push them to move forward. Thank you.
James Duncan.
First of all, I'd like to say I'd like to sign that petition.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And I'm a little in front of myself, but I want to say thank you to all the guys working for the city, doing the things they do that none of you guys would do, and I wouldn't either. Not now, but I like to see them paid much more money than what they're being paid for right now. That's from a concerned citizen to all of you. You're not going to walk around doing anything in the snow. You're not going to have families to take care of after all of that. And I don't know how much money they get for their sick pay, but they really need to get. We got too many entities in this town for our city workers to be having problems. Any problems when it comes to finance. And for you guys that don't understand about our water plant, the ones that you guys would run the skin and grin with, I call them the enemy because they do nothing for us. They come in and get you to smile and grin with them and drink coffee and eat hot dogs. And that was low because I wanted you to understand that it's low for anybody to come into our community, do the things that they do, and give us a hot dog and a beer. I would like to see the change that our people are asking for in my lifetime. I was born here over 70 years ago, and I've seen absolutely not a damn thing happen for the citizens. And if you guys don't feel that, imagine what the next 70 years is going to look like. God will I be around to help you understand during that 70 years, because I wasn't around like I should have been. Because a lot of things happened in this town that I feel obligated for, because my parents were taxpayers, were left here in all kinds of ways, even with the cancers and all of this stuff going around. And I contributed to our water plants. Let me say something about the water plant while I got all of y'all here. Do not give our damn water plant away. I don't care what you do, where you get your money. We got medical marijuana. I help get them into the city. Ask them for the money to help us. You got Whirlpool, ask them. And I said them to you. I already know my time is up.
Appreciate it.
You think I don't know my time is up, Mayor? I got one more thing to say, and I'm going to say it. So why you going to try to block me off? Don't mess with the citizens anymore. You be the mayor, and we'll be the citizens. And you treat us like citizens and with the highest of damn respect. Thank you for your time and your energy.
All right now. This concludes the citizens' public participation part of the agenda. This brings us to our consent calendar items. Are there any items that should be removed from the consent calendar?
Mayor, I'd like to suspend the rules. I need to add an item to the agenda that was not added to the agenda previously. It should have come, it came out of economic development, I'm sorry, out of the legislative committee. It should have been.
So when do these guys get a chance to talk?
Point of order, we need the public participation is completed.
Did somebody sign that piece of paper?
Thank you, Mr. Duncan.
They didn't know. And
Madam,
this,
Yes, I'd like to add a item, a
I'm back
resolution to,
Wednesday, 5:30. Always this.
yes, I want to suspend the rules to add an item to the agenda. In fact, it was the 289 Parker that should have been added about the title that we were supposed to redo to make that property is supposed to go back to,
Doris Ferguson Taylor.
yes, to Ms. Ferguson. It came out of the Economic Development Committee, and it should have been on the agenda.
Support.
And so we need to add that resolution.
Yeah.
in the discussion.
In the discussion.
It's gonna be added.
Well, I support.
Motion is made by Commissioner Henderson and supported by Mayor Pro Tem Seats to add item
Thank y'all for coming.
289 Parker.
289 Parker to the agenda. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats, Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Griffin,
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom. Yes. Mayor Mohammed.
Yes. Then items that should be separated from the consent calendar.
Approval of exclusive option to purchase and authorization to rehab city-owned housing units.
Duly noted. Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
I like to separate 289 Parker.
That's already.
Okay. Yeah.
Carry none.
Amendment to the lead service line replacement grant agreement.
Noted. Carry none. Is there a motion for the approval of the consent calendar?
So moved.
Motion is made by Commissioner Singleton. It is supported by Commissioner Henderson of the First Ward. Please call the roll.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Griffin,
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed.
Yes. Motion carries.
Oh, motion carries, sorry.
This brings us to the separated item approval of exclusive option to purchase and authorization to rehab 2 city-owned housing units. Is there a motion for?
Motion to approve.
Motion is made by Commissioner Adams and it is supported by Commissioner Henderson. Is there discussion?
Yes.
Chairman recognizes Commissioner at Large Adams.
The discussion is, and I'm glad that we have technology that records now. Because prior to Planning Economic Development Committee meeting last session, the question was asked by Mr. Little through the chair, if in fact, what properties we were talking about. And at that time, he stated the correct properties with the organization that we're dealing with. And now, I'm seeing within the document that it's this one property that came before me when I was co-chair of Planning Economic Development of 717 Colfax, that the property owner wanted to negotiate something with the city of Benton Harbor for. And as a property owner, a tax-paying property owner, a tax-paying property owner whose property is adjacent to anything where any activity is going on has the right, and actually first right, to a property. Now, mind you, we did a negotiation with a young man that grew up in the house, and the deal fell through. And for some reason, it just kept hid, never come back up, and I kept asking questions, and I really don't appreciate it. I just really don't appreciate it. Lack of communication and transparency. Transparency is everything.
Is this the same property?
This is the same property that's on this document, but after speaking with a young lady, this property wasn't even the one that was negotiated upon. Actually, it was another property on AGOT.
I don't think.
And I asked that this property be removed.
Commissioner, I don't think this is the same property.
It is.
Well, we went into an agreement.
This right here. Yes, it's the same property. I've
Director
been,
Little, could you speak to that?
Yes. This property, as a matter of fact, both properties were two of the three original properties that we acquired from the tax sale when the commission passed a resolution saying that we would begin to.
But is this the property that the city went into an agreement with the young man who came before the council, who his grandmother owned the property?
Yes.
Went into foreclosure.
and no other discussion ever came up.
So where is that agreement?
Which agreement?
The city council passed a resolution and went into an agreement with that particular gentleman who presented his case to us. We approved it and we went into an agreement, and it was stated that if they did not fulfill the agreement, then the property would revert back to the city.
And that's what occurred. He didn't fulfill it, we served him notice, and it's been back twice. And then we took the property and moved on with it. And what put it in this package to do what those properties were originally acquired to do.
So due notice was given.
Yes.
To when?
We don't have to say names.
No. Honorable Mayor, with all due respect, I've asked these questions, and we shouldn't even be having this conversation had transparency showed up when it was asked before this organization even came forward.
So that may be true, Commissioner.
Okay, but-
I'm not disputing that,
Okay,
but what's in front of
I'm
us.
asking, I'd like to see the documentation of that agreement,
Exactly.
period.
So,
We just purchased too many other homes, Honorable Mayor.
Commissioner, we have to have order
Okay,
in how we conduct the business.
okay.
So.
Well, can I
it's the-
have the floor? Can I finish?
Wait, you put some things out there.
Okay,
We have the staff person here.
Okay.
He has to have an opportunity
okay,
to answer. Then we have to open it up to
okay.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Director Little. So due notice was served.
Absolutely.
Was there a response?
There was no response. And we served a second notice and there was no response. So we then informed them that we were.
So we have fulfilled all legal obligations as it relates to that agreement. We really need to have microphone order in the chambers. Everybody cannot talk at the same time that we conduct business on behalf of the residents in the city. So all legal obligations have been fulfilled from the city standpoint. Has the attorney been consulted?
Damn.
There was no need to.
So-
There was nothing done and nothing took place.
What? Make it up as you go.
What the?
So,
Unbelievable.
I don't really want to have to exercise where we have to ask people to leave because it can't be run like we at the club. It's a government meeting. The public had an opportunity to speak. We sat and listened. Now it's time to conduct the business of the city. So we expect the same. Regardless if you don't like what's being said, there was plenty said that I may disagree with, but I listen. So please, we need order in City Hall. Mr. Attorney,
Yes, Mayor.
have we fulfilled our obligation as it relates to that agreement where the city will be absolved of any potential litigation?
As Mr. Little stated, I have not seen the agreement. I was not privy to the breach of the agreement or the notice that was provided.
Now, we gonna ask the public to do it, and we gotta be the.
But it's not necessarily something that, you know, I'm not privy to every single thing that goes on.
So if there is a provision in the agreement that if the fulfillment on the said party is not fulfilled in terms of what they were obligated to do, property reverts back to the city, is it safe for the city to enter into another agreement?
So,
With that said
like I said,
property?
I haven't seen this agreement, so presumably, Mr. Little has the agreement that was entered into between the city and the property owner. If it was not complied with, and there's a notice provision in the agreement that says that the city has to provide notice to, because generally, you're not, sometimes, or mostly likely not required to have notice of a breach, because you know if you know you don't pay your credit card bill, you know, the credit card company doesn't have to send you notice, they can just, you know, send you to collection. But again, I haven't seen this, but presumably if the agreement said that notice was required and Mr. Little says that notice was sent, then
We can proceed forward.
proceed forward.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Cease and then Commissioner Clark.
Thank you, Mayor. With all due respect, we were part of both, I believe, still we're part of the front, selling the Colfax property. But I did ask that when we do sell or purchase, I would just love to know that we do go through all our attorney that doesn't have a legal representation and not using it to the best of our abilities. I mean, I know some of us know how to articulate the law, but none of us are practicing law. And if there's something that comes down to a legality, I would love for our attorney to know up front instead of behind what's going on with these agreements. I have no problem with helping taxpaying residents to get property for the city. But I do know that one word can change a situation from being profitable and being taken back. So I would ask this said agreement to go to our legal team. And if there's a temporary agreement that can happen, whatever, however, but I would like to see us not exhaust, but at least introduce it to our legal department. Thank you, Honorable Mayor.
Thank you. Chairman recognizes Commissioner Clark Griffin.
And I just want to say, I'm not a lawyer, but I do have education in criminal justice and business administration. But point of clarity, I would like to know what two houses are we exactly, because there's been some confusion talking about today that we're voting on.
So it's in your packet, Commissioner.
What two houses
I
are
just
we
wanna-
talking? I read the package out of him.
So
Through
it's,
the chair, can Mr. Little tell me, I don't have to go through that, can he tell me what two houses we're exactly talking about tonight?
it's 1135 Superior
Thank you, okay,
and 717 Colfax.
okay, because it's been changed several times. Thank you, that's all I needed to know.
Thank you. Chairman recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. And this was not meant to cause any confusion, any divisiveness already has taken place. When a person is taking care of something and there's no transparency or a straight answer to a question. When they are tasked to do something and our attorney, any agreements with any contracts or whatever, this governing body or unit of government goes through the city attorney to approve it and come to us. That has not happened, but I don't want anybody to misconstrue anything. I'm all for this, and I think, and I'm gonna say it again, the property that was initially supposed to be on here should be the one that should be on here. And I think Mr. Little know which one that is through the chair, and you think it was a home on Agar. But we seem to have a problem, excuse me, sir, we seem to have a problem with having a conversation in Planning and Economic Development Committee about the other homes that we just purchased with the taxpayers' dollars from foreclosure. Because we have a wonderful opportunity on us right now that I myself has been waiting for and tried to create, but now I don't have to because somebody else has the wheel turning, but we're gonna make sure that it's rolling straight.
Well, I would just add that, you know, I don't think that this body has.
Oh, don't think on that. Just, can we add that other property and remove this one until it goes through the proper process, please?
This body has tried to work with organizations that we have with people who we've gone into agreements with. We have taxpayers who lost their home or homes. We pulled it off the roll. They purchased the home back from the city and were able to stay in their home. So we've done some really good work, working with residents, working with homeowners to keep them. In this case in point, this particular deal did not go through. So now we have another group that wants to make good, to rehab, that I think the city is willing to work with. But I just, you know, would hope that the capacity is there to do and fulfill the agreement that we are entering into. Has the city attorney seen the agreement? Or if is there, other than this resolution, has there been an agreement?
Just that resolution, sir.
Okay.
And I did provide at the committee meeting, copy of their 501c3 as was requested, the listing of their board members.
His financial statements, and all of that was presented.
Yes.
So the agreement, because what we don't want to have is what happened last time.
Actually, this is exactly what happened last time. There was no specific written agreement, it was a verbal, and then I drafted a resolution that this body passed.
Right, so what I'm saying tonight, because you have another resolution and we have another group with good intentions. But good intentions with documentation and paperwork where there's an understanding on the city side and on the other party side that these are the written obligations and that there should be a timeline. 1 year, 2 years that is in place to fulfill the agreement. Where the investment is made, improvements is made, and now we're looking for a homeowner. Hopefully the city, which I'm working to get some first time home buyers money where people can get that help at closing to where they can walk into the home and get the loan.
Absolutely. And that's what the.
So can you work with the city attorney if this resolution passes, which would start the process?
Okay.
But the city attorney would work with your office and work with the group in order to come up with a legal agreement. Mr. Attorney?
Yes, ma'am. Make a motion to table. That's fine.
No.
No, I
Send
think
it back
that
to.
this would just
Pass,
start,
yeah.
the resolution would approve and start the process for the city attorney, the director of economic development, and the said body that's in the resolution to come up with an agreement. And a timeline that would be fair to
Call for the question. Yeah, yeah.
Mr. Attorney?
So I'm sorry, so an agreement between the city.
City-owned properties.
The city-owned property and the
Properties.
individuals.
No, I'm gonna read the resolution because it's, so that way. So it says approval to prepare and execute an exclusive option to purchase to the Benton Harbor CDC authorization to rehab 2 city-owned housing buildings, whereas the city of Benton Harbor is committed to rebuilding its housing base by promoting home ownership for low, moderate income citizens. Toward that purpose, the city has begun purchasing homes suitable for rehabilitation from the county tax sales. Whereas to achieve this goal, the city has determined that it desires to work with the local nonprofit Benton Harbor Community Development Corporation, which has pursued and obtained grants for the purpose of rehabilitating houses to make available for sale to qualified low moderate income residents, Benton Harbor, on 2 housing units that the city has purchased. Whereas the Benton Harbor CDC also works with low moderate income Benton Harbor residents seeking to become homeowners to help them to qualify for financing, how to become homeowners, and how to maintain their home. Whereas the Benton Harbor CDC has or will obtain the necessary funding and finance to perform the rehab and renovations of these homes, will obtain and pay for all necessary permits and inspections, and will comply with all building code rules and regulations. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Commission of the City of Benton Harbor does authorize the city manager to enter into an exclusive conditional option to purchase with the Benton Harbor CDC for the sole purpose of rehabilitating the housing units, bringing them up to code, and assisting low moderate income residents to purchase them at a price agreeable to the CDC and the city, with all proceeds to be retained in a revolving fund for reinvesting in the rehabilitation of other homes in Benton Harbor for the same purpose. Further be it resolved that the city of Benton Harbor will structure the purchase option to protecting the CDC's investment and interest in the property while retaining a reversionary interest in said property until all rehabilitation and renovations are completed and the low-income resident buyer completes their financing and purchase of the property, in which the city will relinquish any claim against the property. The chairman recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Honorable Mayor, with all due respect, I hope this does come back before the commission with the exact agreement, because this, I don't want to say this document is evasive, but there's a couple things that the last agreement had that we voted on, and this one does not. There was money that we had to give the county to get these properties back. There's legal fees that have been spent in order for us to get these properties back. So are we donating the property, or are we giving the property, or are we selling the property? Because this has no dollar amount anywhere on this document to say that there's a charge or a fee. In the last one that we did give out was that he had to purchase it for at least what we bought it for. And I think that needs to be part of this agreement, because you cannot have a city holding bag. And I mean, because then you have a free for all. So hopefully in the agreement between the city and the entity, which I have no problem with, but the last agreement had a dollar amount in there. And so, I mean, unless we give a property, that needs to be said in that also. If the property is a donation, then we can say it's a donation. If the property is being purchased, then we can say it's being purchased. But without any kind of dollar amount, then you cannot enact the charter. The charter says for selling the property, you do need a certain amount of votes, and also with the price. So I think we do need to make sure that we're in the confines of the charter what we're doing this transaction. Thank you. For all transactions, not this one, but all.
Honorable Mayor.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you, sir. Just looking at the whole picture of everything and the presentation that we just went through. And the homes that we've purchased. And now that we have the city attorney about to do it, to put together the agreement or agreements. Well, it should be just one, because I'm hoping that we have before us an organization that has come forward that we've been waiting for to help us build up on our workforce, to put some young people to work to earn a skill, and to probably be the ones that end up purchasing one of those homes. And of course, with any realtor, there's a profit to be made. And I think it should go to that organization. I would like to see, and I'm gonna say it again, if we could put the properties that Benton Harbor residents has paid for to come out of foreclosure and to hold on to put within the city's land bank into an agreement with this organization. And because it's all of our job. There's too many youth around here doing the wrong thing to seek them out and lead them there to gain a skill.
So I do agree, Commissioner, but I think that this is a small step.
And it would be, it would be if they're just one house at a time.
So if we can just get this business conducted,
Okay.
and I think this is the beginning of a
Agreement.
relationship.
But here's my fear, is that those other homes will just disappear. And if they're in a land bank, under an agreement like that, it won't happen.
Well, it's one step at a time.
And that would be it, putting them all in a Benton Harbor bank and working one at a time with the organization. That's simple.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Clark
Attorney.
Griffin.
This goes back to what me and Commissioner Adams was talking about in one of the committee meetings, maybe a month or so ago, about our assistants, our manager and economic director following protocol. Because here we go back to the same thing. We've talked about this over and over again. The CDC has been here. This might be their third or fourth time. Had it been done properly in the first place? Because I asked Mr. Letter at one of that committee meetings, I said, so you made an agreement without discussing it with us. So what if the commissioner said no? What are you gonna tell them no? Well, I would have to. No, the procedure, the protocol is to come to us, go through the lawyer, whatever way we have to do it first. Then we won't be at that, because this is ridiculous. And they're coming back and forth again. And I don't see anybody else trying to do anything with these homes, especially in the inner city.
Thank you.
So it goes back. Whatever we need to do or have to do, protocol and procedure has to be followed.
Yeah.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Just two things, quickly. I just want to make sure I'm on the right address. 1135 Superior,
Correct.
1113 Agar.
717 Colfax.
Well, I just got a text 1717 is not for CDC. They're one. 1113 Agar.
Well, I can only go by what's in front
Yeah,
of
but they were just saying there's a error on
Right,
that.
but the other thing is during public and open meetings, we should not have communication privately while we discussing things in public.
My other question would be, is it possible I can ask for, since we have on what they might do or it might not? The conversation was, it has been done again and the house was just left. None done. Could we have them present to us what they're actually going to do with these properties, repurchased properties?
Right, so what we're doing tonight is initiating the process. Mr. Director Little, is 717 Colfax a property that should not be on this list tonight? That should be on the list.
Yes.
Okay. So, Mr. Attorney,
Yes, sir.
Will you work with Director Little with a timeline?
Of course. So this is to enter into an option contract. So it's not necessarily an option to purchase, but it's an option to keep the property open for the CDC to purchase the property. Generally, there's got to be some consideration offered, even if it's just nominal.
Can we have, point of order, please?
Shouldn't it be properties? Properties? Properties?
And so, so purchase for, option agreement in writing, there has to be some nominal consideration for the opportunity to keep that option to purchase open. Exclusive meaning that the city, for a period of time, says to the CDC, we're keeping the property available to you to purchase and only you for that period of time. Once that period expires, they can either renegotiate to extend the option, or the option is terminated. And we can't put in provisions in the option agreement to, for specific, we can make any terms or considerations, that the city would like to see this happen. As far as the agreement or the resolution that was put into place regarding the prior property owner who lost it, I don't know if the city wants me to look into that at all. Or if we just want to just consider that having been done correctly, which we can do. I did look at the properties, and I did confirm that they're owned by the city. 717 Colfax and the 1135 Superior, owned by the city just recently, in 2022, I think. But yeah, it's something I can certainly work with the city.
So as far as what the Mayor Pro Tem discussed, where the city paid monies to acquire the properties, is that something that when you talk about, so once we get to the point where there's an actual purchase from the organization, should the cost that the city purchased the property, should that be a part of the agreement?
Well, yeah, we can put something in there that says that, to be considered at some point, the city and the entity have to agree upon a certain purchase price. And whenever the city is selling real estate, it does have to go through the proper procedure as it relates to the procurement ordinance.
Public hearing.
I
To
think
sell
public
property
hearing-
is a public.
Yeah, public hearing, and again, through
Two-thirds vote.
approval through the commission. So, and we can put that in there.
Okay. Chair recognizes Commissioner Henderson.
So I know with this particular property, one of the discussion around the, was so that this property owner could get that building sealed in so that no more water, rain, or whatever. But they can't even do any work or commit any monies to this property until it belongs to them. And so one of the issues was closing this property up and getting it ready to be worked on for the season. It's one of the discussions that was brought to the committee that this came to.
Well, I think once we make the agreement that the property owner has, not property owner, the other party has 2 years or 36 months or however long it would be, once the city commits to the agreement, then that person or that group now can make that investment in the city. The only way the property can revert back to the city is if there's a breach of contract. So that's why I'm saying we need to have an agreement which protects the CDC and also protects the city. Because one thing we are good at is talking. But when you put that paperwork in place.
I like receipts myself.
So I'm just saying to protect CDC, protect the city, and most of all, protect the residents, because we use their money to get the product.
Yeah.
So with that being said,
Call for the question.
Call. Mr. Williams?
Yes. Commissioner Clark Griffin.
Can you tell me what we're voting on?
We're voting on the approval of exclusive option to purchase and authorization to rehab 2 city-owned housing units.
That's just to get it to go
Well,
back
yes.
to committee?
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards.
You still asking the question?
No.
Okay, I just wanna make sure what I'm supposed to.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Henderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Henry.
Yeah.
Commissioner Isom.
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Yes.
Commissioner
Make
Adams.
a fork in the yes.
Okay, Mayor Milam.
Yes.
We have
The next separated item is the amendment to the lead service line replacement grant agreement. Is there a motion for the approval?
Motion to approve.
Motion is made by Commissioner at Large Adams, supported by First Ward Commissioner Henderson. Is there discussion? Chairman recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Can you, Honorable Mayor, please, explain the amendment
So,
of which replacement? Because some of us homeowners had ours replaced prior to this emergency.
so this amendment, the city of Benton Harbor received $45 million
Okay,
from the state of Michigan through the state budget.
okay,
And there is about $26,778,495 left. And that money is, in this amendment, would be used for water treatment plant improvements, distribution system upgrades, which would include water mains. I'm going to read off some of the streets.
okay, is that some of the sewer lines as well?
Yes, exactly. Division in Columbus, Edwards, Green, 8th Street, East Britain, Colfax, Superior, Ogden, McAllister, South Windsor, Monroe, Nolan, Madison, Lyons, Fair, and High will be from May to Emory, Britain to Empire, Empire to Catappa, Broadway to Hurd, Britain to Sealy, Pickens, Warwick, Clark to Graham, Morton to Winans. Then there'll also be an additional $205,000 where water infrastructure consulting, $25,000 infrastructure inspections, $80,000 corrosion Cornwall projects, which will be possible future corrosion control study, high service suction well reservoir intake, and that would be $205,000. Then you also have an additional $4 million that would include for the water treatment plant, chlorine feed and monitoring improvements, $190,000.
Okay.
Replacement of filter. I have to read
Go ahead,
because it's people
Yes,
who
yes,
want to know,
yes.
and they've been asking.
Yes.
Replacement of filter valves, actuators and controls, $1,550,000. Laboratory instrumentation replacement, $120,000. Plate settler instrumentation replacement, $90,000. Fluoride feed improvements, $20,000. Finished water reservoir improvements, $50,000. Infrastructure repair allowance, $500,000. Replacement of service wash RPZ backflow, $30,000. Rehabilitation of filters, $1,230,000. Laboratory improvements, $236,000. Low service pump improvements, $780,000. Intake structure chemical feed improvements, $2,120,000. High service pump improvements, $2,400,000. $790,000 for sludge handing, abandoned filters, $70,000. So there will be, as the gentleman stated tonight, extensive improvements.
Yes, and I get that. Not question.
So the amendment would address these.
Right. For us to be able to utilize those funds for that.
It's precise.
Okay, so my question is, and I get it now, why there was so much pushback about us being taken off the letter and sending a letter of intent, which still has something totally different to do with this. That's new money that we yet have to discuss. My question is, with all of that you just ran down, you stated that in our last meeting that we had 20,000 to play with. That don't seem like it's to play with, but it
I
is
didn't say
addressing,
20,000.
it's recorded. It is, okay, well, maybe it was just a figure of speech on your part, but you said. Anyway, or anywho, that amount that we have left, that this amendment consists of, all of those add up to that amount, or is it less? And I asked that
This
question,
is to the penny.
it's to the penny? Okay, that will cost us nothing else.
This is at no expense.
Okay, so that's wonderful. That's wonderful, and here's why, because if tomorrow night go right, we got some more coming. A whole lot more coming. And not only that, we have infrastructural dollars that haven't even come down the pipeline yet. But to be working on and replacing our sewer lines before we fix our streets, because right now they actually look like Band-Aids, would be wonderful.
Commissioner, what's in front of us?
I know, so this work is something that we'll start with.
We, well,
After we pass
the
this.
first step is that we approve the amendment.
Right, after we approve
And
this.
then after we approve the amendment, and then after we decide what direction we're going to go through with the water filtration plant, then certain improvements, because we're talking short term, long term.
Right.
The $4 million plus, that's immediate. But the other 21,750,000, that comes after we make the decision on behalf of the residents, with the residents, the direction of our water filtration.
And it has nothing to do with what's left of our opera dollars.
This has nothing to do with
We
our,
good.
this is from the state of Michigan budget.
Thank you, sir.
And I just want to make the point, only two cities that got this kind of allocation. Detroit got 76 million. The city of Ben Harbor, Flint did 45 million. And it's other cities right now. Talk to other mayors, East Point, Inkster, Flint, Jackson, Muskegon Heights, Ypsilanti, that wish that they was in the position and had the opportunity, their council in there, to pass a resolution like tonight. Chairman recognizes Commissioner.
Let me make sure I got it straight. It's not our money.
No, it's not our money.
This is another pot of money.
This is the money that
And
was,
this, okay, I heard.
pardon me, I'm sorry.
I heard you. I just want to make sure I heard you the first time, okay. So this money is just going to be for the water main replacement.
Not water main, it's a whole list of things. And I just read some of them.
Okay, I heard you read that.
Okay.
Okay, let me go back to my ward. I have that gentleman sitting there and the one that was sitting over there. Residents in my ward that is in a traditional low area have backups in the basement. Every year, twice a year, sometime if they don't clean the middle of the street out. So my question is any of this project gonna straighten out those residents' problem? of
I
having-
see Jennings. I see Bishop. Union, Empire to Emory. And they also state in here that what's being amended, that's not gonna cure the whole infrastructure issue. This is just really a blessing to the city of Ben Harbor to push us forward. But there is an obligation that and that's why we have to make some tough decisions that we have to make, and some accountability as we hear tonight that has to be placed on the city, on the officials and transferred to the residents.
The water plant. Yeah, I do see that.
To whom much is given,
I do see that, Mayor,
Much
but
is
I'm
required.
having a problem with the cry, the will of the people. It's not just in Jennings, Bishop.
but it's not enough for the whole city.
Well,
And
to
some don't
to my
have this.
perspective, that you go after the worst problem that the people are having. And this problem has been going on for years. Here's a gentleman that called me and he was instructed to go to the insurance company and ask to help with his claim. And the insurance company told him no. And he called me and asked me so I asked him, I said, you just hold on. Before you sue the city and the insurance company, let me help and see if I can get the city to help.
Commissioner,
He was here.
I
And I need
understand,
to
but
know-
you're talking about
I
an
need-
individual,
I-
you're talking
I
about the
need
entire
to,
city.
no.
This is for water.
No, I need to know.
For sewer dollars,
It's gonna
that
fix my
infrastructure,
problem in the third ward.
it would not fix every problem in the third ward. This is for water. You're talking sewer. And there are sewer dollars, infrastructure dollars that from the federal government that the city is going to go after. Just like we started with $284,000 in 2018 to address the lead and the water issue. Now we got 45 million.
Okay. but
So
my-
it's not gonna happen overnight, and we can't eat the whole elephant
My
in one bite.
question is, cause I need to resolve this for the third ward resident.
This is for the water, this is for amending the
How
water.
do I get the third ward residents' issues in Abermarsh's head that it's priority? It's been going on for 30 to 40 years.
You
Some of
holding up
I know what I'm
the
holding up.
approval of these dollars
I know
on
what I'm doing.
on an issue that does not have to do with this.
Yes, it does.
Not sewer, this
If
is
you're
dealing,
telling me that this is not curing my problem in third ward, then I have a problem.
as it relates to water distribution and water quality, yes, it is. But as it relates to the sewer issues, which is a whole nother infrastructure issue.
How do I
This-
get Abermarsh to recognize that my third ward residents need their attention?
You need to meet with the city manager,
Again?
and we need to meet with
Okay.
Adam Marsh.
All right,
But we
thank you.
can't hold this up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got my answer. Okay. So,
Call for the question,
whoa.
Mr. Williams.
Okay.
Commissioner Edwards?
I have a question,
Yes.
Mayor. I'd like to know, is there a deadline on this?
Commissioner,
Cause I really
Mr.
just wanna go
Williams.
back over and read it to the dollar, to the word.
It ain't got, it just got in my hand
they
tonight.
can't hear you.
Commissioner Henderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Henry?
What are we voting on? I'm sorry.
Oh, Lord.
We're voting to approve the amendment to the lead service line replacement grant agreement.
Well, I'm just gonna go on my gut because this got in my hand today. And I'm looking at it and I'm gonna go with my gut to say yes.
Commissioner Ison?
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats?
Yes.
Commissioner Adams?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Griffin?
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad?
Yes.
We have a motion.
This brings us to the final resolution that was added to the agenda and separated from or added to the agenda. Commissioner Henderson, please. Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
You know, we worded. Whereas the property's been owned and been taken care of by the said individual, what the property address, give it to me, please, Mr. Henderson.
289 Parker.
289 Parker has been paid for over 30 years. The city has their name on it. We fully withdraw our name without any penalty to the residents. and that we deem that the property be conveyed to the owner of the property who will maintain taxes for over 30 years and maintain the property.
So move.
Motion is made by Commissioner Singleton and supported. Is there discussion?
Just real quick,
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem.
Just briefly, this young lady's family been maintaining the property, been paying the taxes for over 30 years, doing a $30,000 investigation that was held by whatever we have, can't think of what I'm having a brain fog right now. But the young lady came and went through the sole process of asked for years for this to be remedied. They've been paying the tax bill. They don't owe any tax dollars. They don't owe the water bills. They don't owe anything on the property. We don't have a right to have our name on their property, but our property, the name has been on the property for all these years. And I don't understand how can they be charged taxes, but our name still be on that. So the best way to remedy that is to go through the resolution process, give it to the attorney, and the attorney just remove our name off of it, which should have been on there in the first place. She was told that it was going to be removed. The taxes have been up to date. There's never been a tax reversion. We don't owe a water bill. They've been paying the water bill, even though they were said not to pay it. And I don't know why we're on the property anyway. Thank you, Honorable Mayor.
I want to just recognize the city attorney. Are you aware of this particular piece of property?
So I'm aware of this property as of last week-ish. But it's my understanding that the property owner, because the city technically owns the property now, it was on the title. But the individual who has been paying the taxes, who has been living at 289 Parker, purchased the property from the prior owner on land contract 30 some odd years ago. And so when you buy something on land contract, you are an equitable owner of the property. You're not the legal owner. The person who sold the property on land contract remains the legal title holder. And they're the ones who are responsible for making sure property taxes get paid. And a lot of times when you're buying something on land contract, you're buying it because you can't go through a traditional mortgage because you don't have the funds, or you don't, for whatever reason, and you just don't understand the process, and you don't understand that property taxes maybe aren't getting paid. So it's my understanding that the property owner wasn't paying the taxes. It reverted back to the state. The state then, through the similar process that we deal with now, deeded it back to the city. But the person who was buying the property on land contract paid off the property owner. And when she did that, she was paying the property taxes to the city. The city was accepting him, but there was never any deed that would transfer title to this person who owns, who's been living and paying the taxes for 289 Parker. So
Is the previous owner deceased?
That I don't know. I don't know.
We're the previous owner.
Well, the owner.
There's only been two owners of that house, and my mother is the other owner. And
Right.
she has a check in your system and a note in your system in St. Joe that states that the deed was supposed to be changed because her signature is on it, and the state of Michigan is not.
So, Mr. Attorney, this
So
is
she
something
put
that
names
really should be handled
immediately
with staff and immediately, but this is not the proper form, because if the said person has paperwork documentation, because the process that I know of, if it's a land contract, it should be registered with the Barron County Register of Deeds. It don't have to be.
Right.
It should be. Once the property is satisfied the cost, and that's when there's a quit claim deed where the former owner signs off and where the new owner now gets possession of the deed in the property.
Right, but if, for whatever reason that didn't happen, or if it did and it wasn't recorded, if it wasn't, the paperwork didn't get to the Register of Deeds, then the city can then, because the city is the owner, we can quit claim it, and I think
To,
the assessor
so-
also has.
okay, so there's no other interested party
No,
on this title other than the city of Benton Harbor?
I don't believe so, correct.
and they're not
The
interested.
land contract was fulfilled.
It sure was.
It was
The
fulfilled.
problem happened while she was paid on the land contract, happened with that land contract holder. I mean, we're guessing. So that was back in the 80s and 90s, and it got, when a property went into tax forfeiture back then,
It should have.
it
never
got
been that.
into, it was deeded into the DNR's name. It was
So how long has the city of Benton Harbor held title?
The whole time.
since what, 90?
I just need actual facts.
She, okay, listen,
Wait. I'm gonna talk with the staff. We're
she don't
gonna.
know much, trust me.
No.
I'm the one who brought it to her.
Ma'am, we trying to resolve the problem immediately.
I hope so.
So please just let us do so,
I was one when this property was bought.
ma'am,
And I'm
we-
37 now.
ma'am.
Honorable Mayor.
Point of order.
Please.
Honorable
Um,
Mayor, well,
Miss Story. Miss Story, so how long has the city of Benton Harbor held title?
Illegal.
while she looks for that, Honorable Mayor, it came.
Commissioner
through the-
Adams,
I'm sorry, this was
please.
not on the agenda, so I don't even have the packet. So give me 1 second to look it up,
So,
and I can tell you.
So, okay, please.
she's looking up
I
something.
have what you're looking for.
Can't
Do
you
you have the
go?
packet?
No, I have the actual information.
So this is what we will do. As the resolution has been presented, because it does take 6 votes to, because the city can sell it back for $1.
Yeah, we can quit claiming it back.
Or we can quit claim back. So what we'll do is, as the resolution has been presented, pass the resolution, the city assessor, the city attorney, will work with the young lady here, to quit claim the property legally, where we never have to bring this up
With
again.
no cost to her.
With no,
No.
Can it be
prejudice
backdated though?
moving forward.
Can the deed be backdated? How did you give someone
No, we
back?
can't back
Yeah,
down.
can't backdate the deed.
No, it'd be okay.
That's it.
Once you are the owner, you are the perpetual
Yes.
owner.
We've done this once
Well,
already.
they took it in 93.
It'll never, no. This is, it won't happen.
Okay.
No pay.
Call for the question.
They make the, put it in writing.
Yeah.
Commissioner Henderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Henry?
Yes.
Commissioner Isom?
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats?
Yes.
Commissioner Adams?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Griffin?
Yes, absolutely.
Commissioner Edwards?
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad?
Yes,
You have the motion.
congratulations.
Thank you.
This brings us to staff comment. Chair recognizes our Deputy Director of Public Safety, Director Clark.
No report tonight.
Chairman recognizes our City Assessor, Assessor Stewart.
No report, but thank you for.
Chairman recognizes our Community and Economic Development Director, Director Little. Chairman recognizes our City Attorney, Attorney Rock.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to answer that question previously, the DNR deeded it to the city back in 1993, this property, 289 Parker. So that's how long the city's had it. Just a quick update on the Adams Outdoor Billboard. That has been resolved to our favor. They've agreed to put the sign where we wanted to have it put months ago.
Thank you. Chairman recognizes our City Finance Director.
Nothing to report tonight, but much to report at the next Personnel and Finance Committee meeting.
Thank you. How's the audit coming?
It's coming. I noticed they reached out to you, but it's a lot to uncover. Being my first go around, so I learned a lot. And that's what I wanna share it, speak to you guys about, so. And I'm eager to speak with you guys about that.
Thank you.
Yes, and, I got the clerks. She wanted me to give you guys a report.
Thank
you. As well. And she just wanted me to read off that she apologized for her absence tonight. Some of you may have read that her daughter was crowned first runner-up to Miss Junior Team Blossom Time last night. So she had to contact and contract the signings for this evening. Tomorrow is election day. Polls are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. You can find your polling location by visiting michigan.gov/vote. Once again, that's michigan.gov/vote. And as of the end of the day, today, 831 absentee ballots were issued, with 692 returned and 139 outstanding, totaling 83.27% return. Absentee ballots can be dropped off to the clerk's office or the drop box outside of City Hall until 8 p.m. tomorrow night.
Can you just run through those numbers one more time?
Please.
Yes, as of the end of the day, today,
Citizens are voting.
831 absentee ballots were issued, with 692 returned and 139 outstanding, totaling 83.27% return.
Wow.
Absentee ballots can be dropped off to the clerk's office or the drop box outside of City Hall until 8 p.m. tomorrow night.
Thank you.
Motion to suspend the rules.
Chairman.
We got a resolution.
Chairman.
We can join the resolution. That's not been passed tonight.
Chairman, recognizes the city manager.
All of the commissioners, I put this on your desk,
Yes, we have.
and
Citizens can't see
this
that.
is reduced risk of lead exposure. And all of the commissioners have this information, and we are asking you to please sign up.
Citizens can't even see that.
It is to reduce your risk of lead exposure. And here are some applications, there are applications here, and you can take some of these with you tonight.
So you can get up to $10,000 in improvements to your home at no cost. Windows, doors, totally replaced. These are applications that we're gonna leave here so you can get, all you have to do is sign up. The only way that you can be denied is if you're not a resident of Benton Harbor. And if you live in a rental, it can be up to $6,000 if it's a rental property. But if it's a property owner, and if you need to be put in a hotel, they'll pay for the hotel as well while they do the improvements. Chairman recognizes Commissioner Clark. No, excuse me, City Manager, you finished this? Okay, Chair recognizes Commissioner Clark.
First of all, I want to congratulate the Jordan family. Congratulations for the Shanika Jordan Way. And I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. The last commission meeting, I spoke on the mayor being a member of the commission. I spoke on him not having the right to veto. I also spoke on him violating the Code Act. Since then, the legislative committee has decided to try to change the policy and procedure, which gives the mayor more power, give us less power and the citizens, even leading on to jail time. So what they don't know, I have the original charter law. Okay? So, yes, I have the original home rule charter law. So, we also, and I just want to say that I want the residents to continue to fight. I'll continue to fight for the residents, but we need your help. It's a crew of us that's trying to get things done for the residents. You know, especially in the city, because that's what go last. So it's 5 seats up next year. 5 seats up. We need a change. And I've decided that to get a lot of things done directly for the residents, we have to go outside of this commission. You know, that's why I'm working on things and you see me out there doing things, including resource fair. So I'm willing to work with anybody that want to see this city move forward, especially for the residents. And, I'm just not focused on the inner city, but that's what's lacking. So I want you guys to work with me, reach out to me, and go out to vote tomorrow. We have an important school board election too. Very important. And we're talking about a lot of other high positions. That's going to change our life. So please get out to vote. And remember, if anybody interested in running for positions, commissions, mayor positions that's up next year, please reach out to Tiffany Moore, the city clerk. She can tell you what positions are up and how to apply for them and when the deadline, which is April the 20th. Thank you. Have a good night.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank the citizens for coming out tonight, and I want to reiterate, when you hear public comment or public hearing, that's your opportunity to get involved. And you believe me, from my perspective and at least 5 other elected officials, they're gonna listen to the will of the people.
Sometimes.
So the more you give us your input, the more information that you have, knowledge is power. The more knowledge that you get of what we're thinking about doing here, formulate a question or formulate an idea for you to improve your existence. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're really trying to do, to fix your condition. So we need your help, like Commissioner said. We need your help. So when you hear public comment, go find out what that's about and give it. If it's nothing but yes, I agree, or no, I don't agree. That is important. So thank you for coming out, and please go out and vote tomorrow.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Go vote. Thank you very much.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Just like to thank all the residents for coming out tonight and hearing all of the things that were discussed on the agenda and everything that was voted on to get things done in the city of Benton Harbor. Sitting in these seats, I'll say this to anybody, you have to have thick skin and you have to be willing to listen, and you need to be willing to make hard decisions. A lot of things that have come before our desk, especially even since I've been in the last 4 years, has been some issues that, they've been tough, and we've had to make a decision about them. And the reason why we were elected was to make those decisions about those particular things. As everyone has talked about, there is an election tomorrow. There's a school board election, and there are elections throughout the state of Michigan. Please go out and vote. These seats are up next year. There are people who wish to speak and make decisions based on what they think versus what the facts are, and based on things that they don't necessarily see, which is important. Again, you have to have thick skin to sit in these seats and not take things personally when people have comments or things to say to improve what it is that's happening in our city. And I also say as leaders, bring people together around issues that's going to change a community, not issues that are going to divide. And so if you're going to lead in this community, you need to be able to bring people around issues that are going to bring us together, because there's more that we agree on than what divides us or separates us. So great leaders brings people together. So when you're voting, look at who's on those ballots and look at what people are doing to either divide or to bring people together. That's important, because that'll be the tenure that they'll guide with the whole time that they're in office. Instead of bringing people around issues that we can solve as a community, they'll continue to bring up issues that divide the community, which is easy to do because it's always something that divides us. But there's more that we agree upon that people can even imagine. So look at people who are bringing folks together as you go out to the ballot and vote tomorrow. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Singleton.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Be real short. Everybody just get out to vote tomorrow. It's very important. A lot of things on the ballot, a lot of issues on the ballot. Everybody just get out and vote, take as many people as you can. Because if you don't vote, don't complain, that's what my mother told me. Big deal on the illegal dumping. You know, I'm glad to see people who are taking some initiative and being on the lookout to catch folks, you know, report folks, you know, because it's definitely very disrespectful, you know, to come in somebody's, you know, it's like somebody coming in your yard, taking a poop and taking off and leaving it, you know. So let's stay vigilant on the illegal dumping. Go vote.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner at Large.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I want to thank everybody for coming out. And don't forget to go vote. Let's keep our water plant. You know, but I want to do this. You know, Cynthia's a classmate of mine. I just want to read this resolution, Mayor. Is this all right?
Thank you.
I want to read this. Even my daughters know her, you know. So, resolution of honorary street renaming from McAllister Street to Shamika Jordan Way, from Cross to East May Street. Whereas in 2014, the Benton Harbor City Commission passed legislation that allows for the honoring of individuals by ceremonially renaming streets in the community. And whereas this honor is bestowed by an individual or group ceremoniously renaming streets, and whereas recently the city has received a request to honor the life of Shamika Jordan by ceremoniously renaming McAllister Street from Cross Street to East May Street to Shamika Jordan Way. Whereas Shamika Jordan was born and raised in Benton Harbor, Michigan, where she attended Benton Harbor area school. Whereas Shamika truly loved her community, she cared and loved for the children in the city of Benton Harbor through public service. I want to read that one more time. Wonderful. Whereas Shamika truly loved her community, she cared and loved the children in the city of Benton Harbor through public service. And whereas Shamika Jordan passed away on May 3rd, 2022, and whereas to honor her life, it is the will of the residents of the First Ward to ceremoniously rename McAllister Street from Cross Street to East May Street to Shamika Jordan Way. And whereas the required number of signatures were obtained in favor of the honorary street renaming, now therefore be resolved that Mayor Mohammed and the Benton Harbor City Commission, on behalf of the city's citizens of Benton Harbor, Michigan, do humbly express our sympathy for the loss of Shamika Jordan, and now therefore be it further resolved that Mayor Mohammed and the Benton Harbor City Commission approves the honorary renaming of McAllister Street from Cross Street to East May Street to Shamika Jordan Way. Thank you. God bless you. Go vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ice. Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Well, everybody that knows me, well, have known me all my life. I have always been an emotional person, but it has never affected me when it comes to making an informed decision about some very important things. I grew up with this family. We share relatives. We moved next door to my grandma from another place where we played. And you know, it's just amazing because even those of us that are not kin by blood, we're all connected energies, or we wouldn't be all in this room. Sharing in some of the same common goals, just to improve quality of life on some level or another. But just know that I share your pain, your heartache, and my prayers and thoughts are always with you, even when you don't see me. Which brings me to another point and place in time before returning back to Benton Harbor, not knowing where I wanted to go and didn't want to go back to Flint. And I became agitated And I prayed and I meditated on it. And I became very uncomfortable. And I heard a young lady say something about when the Spirit tells you something and you don't do it, it makes you very, very uncomfortable. And I said, she know my dad. Wow. And I have a sister that says, you mean tell me God speak to you? If you listen, he'll speak to you too. And then again, it depends on if he has a mission or an assignment for you. So the Spirit also told me take a different direction. And I'm like, a different direction? That means don't go back that way. And don't do that, and don't do that, and don't do that. So I ended up back home thinking to myself, well, maybe what I ran out to California, Texas looking for, did I find in my own backyard? And then I began to look at the depressing state of my community. Tumbleweeds blowing in the Arts District, even across Main Street. As I began to do hair at a Different Direction Beauty Salon. I'm like, that's what I can do with that word. Yeah, use it. Because it's me for the rest of my life. Anytime a thing does not work, I have a creator that gives me exactly what I do with hair. When it don't want to cooperate, just take it in a different direction. That's my life. It's been good sitting down here and making decisions for my community. And I've done it by faith and not by sight. And in doing so and staying the course, I can see great change. Great change.
Thanks to the citizens.
And I can see even more. Yeah, I happen to be one of those taxpayers too.
Thanks to the citizens.
Yeah, I was on that side and I'll probably be back over there again. And I'm gonna still keep coming, regardless of who's over here if it ain't working. See, there's a process to some things when you don't like a thing or a person or what they doing. It's called recall. I evidently haven't given anybody a reason. And I answer emails.
Thank you.
And I just want to thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and see how your government is working for you or not, because sometimes it just doesn't.
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Hard to go behind such great comments. But I do want to tell the Jordan family that you can't replace a loved one, but you can't honor them. Her name will live forever. So she does deserve that. And also, I would ask of the fire department to keep her name alive in the training manual. It takes nothing from it, it only adds to it. That manual that is now, I believe our training is statewide recognized. Everybody should in the firefighting to our direction become trained. So her name, she might not be here, but her name will last forever. And I think it's more than anything, your name lasting beyond you. It's one thing to talk, it's another thing to walk. I was downtown Grand Rapids last night, looking at Grand Rapids and seeing how Grand Rapids is evolving. It's evolving. They're taking, can't go downtown Chicago no more and find JJ and Thelma. And the projects, they are taking the projects and they are revitalizing and rebuilding homes for our people. It's not whatever kind of people y'all want to call them. If you don't have nothing, how you gonna add something? So they're revitalizing in minority-owned communities, one by one. The revitalization that is happening. So I do, hopefully, we will be just seeing ribbon cutting on our house that they're gonna develop and rehab. And instead of having Snaggletooth House in Benton Harbor, which the roads are matching it, because they left our roads looking like piano keys. And nobody saying nothing about that. It's a doggone shame to see the millions of dollars that have been put in And nobody's talking about, we just paid for the roads to get fixed. And then we're paying a little bit more money to make roads look like something. Now your roads gonna look like that, probably permanently, because ain't nobody else got no money to fix them. But then we beautify this alley right behind, right up the street here. This alley looks like something that is from Beverly Hills that came out of the Michigan grant funding. And still nobody's able to tell me where they got that money from to fix that alley. And they dug so deep down in that alley to put future water and manholes and sewer pipes. They ain't gonna worry about no water, no bad water over there or bad sewer, because they've invested so much money in that alley. And that's what continues to happen. When Benton Harbor gets grant money, people seek you out like vultures and pluck you off and get the major bang for their buck. We have not secured us an engineer. We have not secured us an assessor. We have not secured all these positions that are commission employees. And until you do, you continue to pay top dollar for what you're getting. And then they'll say, we don't have no money left. And they charge $1 million to do a park. Just to design it until you put a swing right there, and put some grass right there, and put some mulch over there. They charge you $1 million for that. That's ridiculous. Until we get things together and done, that's the shape we'll be in. I publicly want on record to ask again how much money was spent on that alley right behind Cornerstone. Why does that alley look different from when it was drudged and dug up? Who gave the okay for them to spend that majority of that money and without fixing one alley in the inner city? Thank you, Uncle Man.
Thank you,
Man.
Pro Tem C.
No, I don't.
I'm gonna hold up, this is called Benton Harbor.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Monopoly.
this is a game board. So Benton Harbor High School is on the board. Park Avenue is on the board with a vote. We got Collect 200. But Monopoly is dealing with complete control.
Exactly.
It's dealing with real estate.
Mm-hmm.
It's dealing with water.
Mm-hmm.
It's dealing with jail.
Mm-hmm.
It's dealing with renters. It's dealing with owners. And it's dealing with pieces. But do we understand the game that's being played?
I do.
I'm listening. I just think about what's being said, because politics without economics is symbol without substance. Okay? So it takes economics to rebuild, improve, and solve the issues in Benton Harbor. We're a poor community. On one hand, but Black people nationally, we're the 9th richest country in the world. Our spending power. But we so divided.
Not all of it.
I'm talking the facts.
Not all of it.
That our money don't circulate one time in our own community.
That's what we give when we work with the enemy.
So, what board are we playing on? When I started down here downtown, Benton Harbor, we didn't have no money. Streets tore up. State took over. Took all power. Council making $25 a meeting.
And the citizens stood strong.
But now, Benton Harbor is in another space and place, and we moving forward.
Thanks to the citizens.
Politics is about relationships. You can get up and say what you know, what you gonna do as an individual, but if you don't have no relationships to make things happen and get things done, you're gonna be singing a solo.
They tuned in at Toyota.
So
You learned that at Toyota.
people knock me for working with Fred Upton.
He's the devil.
But when we needed $5.6 million to start the lead project, he got $5.6 million from Trump. It came right downtown Benton Harbor, and the $5.6 million started the project.
And
So as people can talk about the problem, but where's the money for the solution?
citizens.
We work with the governor, 45 million. Not just me, the city council working with me, us working together, bringing results. But I ain't here to toot my horn.
Yes, you
Ain't got no more.
Because I know people.
Right.
And if Jesus couldn't please me, I don't have a chance. He had some traitors with him, some Judases, some people who said they was with him, but then at the end, they said crucify him. So I ain't looking for no friends. I ain't looking for no favors. I'm looking to serve till the breath is out of my body. And if God is pleased, that's all I'm looking for.
Well, he ain't pleased.
Not for nobody else to give me no pat on the back or no pat on the head. I don't need it. My workers speak for me.
You sure do.
And we're 99.6% complete with all lead service lines in the city, which ain't never been done.
For master, not us.
So on that point,
For master.
and the books is balanced, the books is clean,
Not going
and the
to
city is moving
Wait
forward.
for the audit though, that's it.
Check the record. I like to entertain a motion to
I make a
it.
motion to adjourn.
Could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Isom. Yes. Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Mayor Pro Tem Singleton.
And go vote.
Commissioner Adams.
Yes.
How about
Mayor?
Absolutely,
Commissioner
yes.
Evans. Commissioner Henderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Henry.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, some of the ladies
Family members.
Family
Yeah, let me grab one of them.
Y'all go vote tomorrow, and then next year, you go for office.
I just sent these on, I just had got on the phone. People have been on for 3 hours.